I turned 93 last month. No one came. Not because they forgot, but because no one was left who remembered me the way I once was. The people who knew that version of me, the one with plans, the one who was going somewhere, they're all gone now. And the ones still here only know this: an old man, quiet, slow, sitting by a window that looks out onto a street I no longer walk down. I used to think about death the way young people do, as something far away, something that only happens to other people, the kind of thing you deal with later. Later, that word, that single word ruined my life. When I was young, I believed in a future version of myself. I believed he would be better, wiser, more ready. I imagined him as someone who finally had things figured out, someone who would know what to say, someone who would make up for everything I was putting off. I told myself I would call my mother more often, later. I told myself I would learn how to be present when things slowed down. I told myself I would stop waiting and finally live once the time was right. I treated time like water from a faucet, like it would always be there when I needed it, like I could just reach out and take more whenever I wanted. I didn't know then what I know now. Time is not a resource. It's not something you save or spend. Time is something that moves through you, whether you're paying attention or not. And the cruelest thing about it is this: you won't feel it leaving, not until it's already gone. When I was 30, I thought 60 was old. When I was 60, I thought 80 was far. Now I am 93, and I understand something that no young person ever believes. It all happens at the same speed. Every decade feels the same length. Every year disappears just as quickly. The difference is only this: when you're young, you look ahead and see an ocean. When you're old, you look back and see a glass of water. I had the same amount as everyone else. I just didn't know it was draining. There was no warning, no moment where someone sat me down and said, "This is it. This is the part where your life passes by." It just happened. I remember being 25 and rushing to work. I remember being 40 and still rushing. I remember being 60 and wondering where the time went. And now I'm here, sitting in a room I've sat in for decades, and I can't tell you what I was rushing toward. I thought I was building something: a career, a future, a name. I thought all the hours I gave away were going somewhere, being stored, collected, waiting for me at the end like some kind of reward. They weren't. The hours just left. They took pieces of me with them, pieces I didn't notice were missing until I tried to look back and couldn't find them. I missed my daughter's childhood, not in a dramatic way. I was there. I came home. I helped with homework. But I wasn't there. My mind was somewhere else, always planning, always solving, always preparing for a future that I thought would be more important than the moment I was standing in. She's 64 now. She calls sometimes. But there's a distance between us that neither of us created on purpose. It just grew slowly during all the moments I was too busy to be present. I remember one evening, she must have been 8 or 9, she asked me to watch her dance in the living room. She had made up a routine, something silly, full of spins and laughter. I said, "Not now, sweetheart, I have to finish something." I don't remember what I had to finish, but I remember the way her face changed just for a second. A flicker of something she didn't have words for yet. Then she smiled, said okay, and went upstairs. I never saw that dance. I think about that more than I should. The things I regret most are not failures. They're not mistakes I made, not chances I took, not moments where I fell short. The things I regret most are the things I didn't do, the words I didn't say, the presence I didn't offer, the simple, quiet moments I let pass because I assumed there would be more. My wife passed away 11 years ago. We were married for 54 years. And yet, when I try to remember our life together, so much of it is blurry, not because I forgot, but because I wasn't paying attention when it was happening. I remember working late. I remember being tired. I remember saying, "We'll take that trip next year." I remember the way she eventually stopped asking. I didn't notice when she stopped. I only noticed when I went to suggest it myself years later and realized the light in her eyes had changed. She didn't resent me. That would have been easier. She just accepted it. She accepted that this was who I was. Someone who meant well, someone who always had good intentions, someone who was going to be more present someday. She died still believing that version of me would show up. He never did. I gave so much to things that don't remember me, jobs that replaced me within a week, projects that are buried in filing cabinets, promotions that meant nothing the moment I received them, and I gave so little to the people who would have remembered me forever if I had only been there. There were moments when I almost saw it, moments when something small broke through the fog of everyday life and made me pause, just for a second, just long enough to feel a flicker of something true. I remember walking to my car after a long day of work. It was winter. The sky had turned a deep orange, and for some reason, I stopped. I looked up. I felt the cold air on my face, and I thought, when was the last time I noticed the sky? I didn't have an answer. I remember another time, years later, sitting at my desk, staring at a calendar. Every day had something written on it, meetings, deadlines, appointments, and I remember thinking, where am I in all this? I wasn't anywhere. I was just the thing moving between the tasks, not a person living a life, just a system keeping itself going. There was a morning, not long after I retired, when I woke up and realized I didn't know what I enjoyed anymore. I had spent so many years doing what needed to be done that I had forgotten what I wanted, and by then I was too tired to find out. These moments, these small cracks in the wall, they could have saved me if I had paid attention, if I had stopped and asked myself what they meant. But I didn't. I patched them up, told myself I was just tired, went back to sleep, went back to work, went back to waiting for the life I thought was still ahead. The answers were always there. I just wasn't ready to hear them. There is a lie that almost everyone believes. It's quiet. It doesn't feel like a lie. It feels like common sense. It feels like patience, like responsibility, like being an adult. The lie is this: there will be time. Time to rest after you finish. Time to connect after you succeed. Time to live after you've prepared. Time to be yourself after you've become someone worth being. We say it in 100 different ways. We tell ourselves the moment isn't right. The conditions aren't perfect. We're not ready yet. We need just a little more. More money, more security, more certainty. And then we'll begin. Then we'll really live. But that moment never comes, because there's always something else. Always another obstacle, another delay, another reason to wait. And while we wait, the hours pass, the years pass. The people we love grow older, and we grow older too, still waiting, still planning, still believing the future will give us what the present never could. I watch so many people live this way. Friends who are going to travel when they retired, couples who are going to reconnect when the kids were grown, men who are going to be more present next year. Some of them ran out of time, some of them are still waiting, and I was one of them. I told myself I was being smart, practical, responsible. I told myself I was doing what had to be done, but I wasn't being responsible. I was being afraid, afraid of silence, afraid of stillness, afraid of looking at my life without a task to hide behind, afraid that if I stopped, I would realize I didn't know who I was without the doing. So I kept going, not because I needed to, but because it was easier than stopping. I understand it now, not because I figured it out, but because there's nothing left to distract me from it. The truth is this: the life I was waiting for was already happening every single day, every quiet morning, every ordinary evening. Every moment I dismissed as just another day was the life I was looking for. I kept searching for something bigger, something more meaningful, something that would finally make me feel like I had arrived. I didn't realize I had already arrived. I was already here. I just wasn't paying attention. The meaning wasn't going to come later. It was never in some future destination. It was in the walk to work, the dinner at the table, the sound of my daughter laughing in the other room, the feeling of my wife's hand in mine during a movie we'd seen before. I missed so much of it, not because it wasn't there, but because I was looking past it, searching for something that didn't exist. I thought life was somewhere ahead, but it was always right here, right in front of me, right beside me, right now. And I only understood that once now became then. This is what no one tells you when you're young. They tell you to work hard. They tell you to be patient. They tell you to plan ahead. But no one tells you that the thing you're waiting for might already be happening. That the life you want is not something you build. It's something you notice. I was so busy building that I forgot to notice. And now, all I have left are pieces. fragments of a life that moved through me while I was looking away. I don't know how old you are. Maybe you're in your 20s, maybe your 30s, maybe older. Maybe you're already feeling the weight of the years. Or maybe you still believe, the way I did, that time is endless. It doesn't matter. What matters is this: you are somewhere in the middle of your life. Whether you're at the beginning or the end, you're in the middle of something, something that is happening right now, something that will not wait for you. The people you love are still here, but they won't always be. The chances you're putting off are still possible, but they won't always be. The person you're planning to become, the one who finally has time, who finally shows up, who finally starts living, that person does not exist unless you become them now. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. I know you're busy. I know there are reasons. I know it feels like the timing isn't right. I know all of it because I believed it too. But I'm telling you from the other side of everything, the timing will never be right. There will never be a perfect moment. The conditions you're waiting for are not coming. And the cost of waiting is not something you will feel until you can no longer afford it. You won't feel the loss of a year. Not while it's happening. You won't feel the distance growing between you and the people you love. Not until it's already there. You won't realize you've been absent from your own life until you try to remember it and find nothing but blur. This is not a warning. This is not advice. This is just an old man sitting alone telling you what I wish someone had told me. Your life is not ahead of you. It's not waiting for you to finish something first. It's happening right now, in this moment, in the next breath you take. And it will keep happening whether you're there for it or not. Please, be there for it.